Hi, it's Paul Banis, the GreatDad.com, and thank you very much for joining either the podcast or the YouTube version of the podcast. I'd really appreciate it if you took just a second to subscribe either on your podcast app or in YouTube. It doesn't really do anything. It's not going to send you any emails. It's just going to show up more often on your feed, and it does me a lot of good in terms of getting more exposure for this work I do to support dads. I'd also like to invite you to come to my page, GreatDad.com/go, if you'd like to discuss more about any of the issues that we are covering within the podcast, especially if there's any way I can help you to be a sounding board in your own struggles to be a dad and to be there for your family. So take a look at that. It also includes a link to my course on gratitude, where at GreatDad.com/gratitude with a offer to take that course for free. So see you in a second. Hey, it's Paul Baez with GreatDad.com, and I'm here with my weekly series talking to dads about modern fatherhood. And I've got a different twist on the whole coaching dads and balance thing that I think is going to really be an interesting conversation for everybody. And I want to welcome Kyle Nelson to the show.
Paul, what's up, man? Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this conversation.
Great. I'm excited to talk to you. And I'm unfortunately we don't have your partner here, Eli Libby,
Yeah.
who's you're really your foil. You have a lot of conversations.
Yeah,
It sounds like you've done a lot of business development works with him, but maybe we'll have him on another time. But you're the dad of
absolutely.
the two, so that is really
Yeah.
where we're coming from
That's why I'm
today.
here.
So you've had a background in entrepreneurship, and I
Yeah.
imagine along the way a lot of men suffering through how to organize their lives, how not to to dive too deeply into the business so they lose sight of all the rest of their lives, and maybe some the other way around where the
Mhm.
rest of their lives become overwhelming and it hurts the entrepreneurship. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background in that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it stems from becoming a father. So my oldest son is 9. He actually turns 9 on Thursday on Halloween. So it's very exciting. But I was as an entrepreneur, got married, you go through all these different transitions in life. But when you become a father, it's such a large transition. People, they say, oh, you'll see when they get older, or, it's a different style of love. And all those things are so true. But when you become a father, I think it's not something that you really thought you were going to expect.
Yeah.
And there's so much pressure and so much, I need to put focus on the kid. I need to put focus on my wife. You've got work, you've got business. And a lot of men struggle with that.
Yeah.
Creating balance in your life in different areas is really something that we help men with through our program. And so seeing men just giving themselves a permission to say, I need to work on myself. I need to show up for myself first so I can show up for my children and actually be present and really be the father that they want to see the first 5 minutes when they get back from school. Like those are such important, impactful times in your kid's life. And those are things, but first you got to focus on yourself and create that balance. And so we have a lot of dads that come through and they're like, yeah, I've been able to now express to my son in a different way and really be more intentional with the moments that I'm with. I don't have my phone on and constantly checking it and things like that. So it's been cool. A lot of dads have gone through it, and it's cool to see them transform just not themselves, but the relationships with their children. It's
Yeah,
it's
I
just so
love the way you're
important to
talking
me.
about like these small things, because there's this big
Oh
macro
man,
picture and there's the micro picture. The difference that you're going to have largely as a father. I mean, some things
yeah,
are going to be huge. The way you talk
right,
about spirituality, you talk about values, those types of things are big
sure,
conversations. Then there's always those just few minutes that you have with them, and how do you make those count versus how do you or
yeah,
versus being distracted. So I totally agree with you. Those first couple of years of fatherhood are just a mess. I mean, usually
yeah,
things are rocky with your spouse because she's
yeah.
going through a
Oh
lot of
man,
changes, a lot of changes of the couple dynamic, and what a gift to be able to take a look back, because then
yeah,
I imagine you can better understand where you are in that dynamic. I mean, sometimes it's great to
yeah,
step outside of yourself so you can sometimes see
absolutely.
that objectively.
Yeah, talking about chaos. One of the number one things that I learned and that we teach is just slow down.
Yeah, yeah,
As they say, in a blink of an eye, your kids are going to be grown up. You're
yeah,
going to be like, wow, I just missed 18 amazing years of impact and relationship I could have with my kid because I was more focused on whatever that is in your life. work, your career, even football games. Like people
Yeah,
just get
yeah.
so like focused on the external when it's like, look at this beautiful child you have that are looking for you for support. And like, the role modeling that you have to go through every moment you're being watched and the kid is absorbing. So you need to make sure each of those moments you have that father figure and that you are truly making the impact and creating this child to what you're going to send out to the world, right? Because
Right.
you're their you are their rock, and they're
Yeah.
constantly watching.
So you and Eli have had this experience in business.
Yeah,
You have another podcast that's called Biz Bros that is about
yeah,
entrepreneurship and those type of issues. What we're really talking about today is this peak fulfillment coaching program
yeah.
you have at peakfulfillmentcoaching.com, which is a new idea. I've heard there are a lot of guys recently, not a lot of guys, but some guys recently who have started retreats
Yeah.
for men. This is a little bit different a take on it because this is a
Hmm.
solitude retreat, not a retreat with other men
Right.
where you're around the campfire and you share stories and maybe you do some drum rituals and stuff. This is
Yeah.
a self-guided
Yeah.
tour of yourself of introspection.
Yeah.
What gave you the idea that this was important versus
Yeah.
more the community thing? Because this has a community aspect too.
Yeah. Yeah. This is usually where I share my story because this came
Yeah, sure.
directly from the experience that I had. So back in 2018, on November 7th, me and my wife had a miscarriage. That was
Mm,
very, very difficult to go through.
yeah.
And then November 8th, the next day, we were part of the campfire in Paradise. So we lost our home in the fire. My
Oh my
parents,
God.
about a mile down the road, lost their home. I lost my business on Main Street in
Oh,
Paradise. I pretty much lost my identity and who I was.
yeah.
And when that happens to you, the first thing that came to mind was I need to be resilient for my family. I need to get us a home. I need to figure all these things out. The insurance, is there anything that on our lot that I want to grab and sift through? So I definitely baggaged up the miscarriage and I put that away. That was like, I can't deal with that right now.
Right.
We're trying to survive. And the fire and all of that, we ended up moving about a year later to Central Oregon. And I never was able to deal with those emotions. And so much emotional baggage got built up inside of me. I had a moment in my life where I didn't know what to do. I had two options. Either it was checking out and being like, well, that was a great 30 plus years. I'm done. I can't take another step.
Yeah.
Like I can't even fathom going another day into the office dealing with people and the amount of pressure that I had. And I said, or what if I just escaped reality for 3 days? What if I said, okay, Kyle, you're a self-aware individual. You've read the books, you've gone to seminars, you've done the podcasts, you're strong, you're a leader. What inside me is missing? What do I need to work on? And so I told my wife, I told Eli, my business partner. We also had other stuff going on in the business. We had $1.72 in the business bank account and 12 employees, and we had payroll due in about 2 days. So there was so much where I was like, all right, I'm checking out. And I decided to go escape
I'm
reality
glad.
for
I bet
those
they all
three
love
days.
that announcement.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I went and escaped. My wife kind of helped me with some prompts. I said, I really need to reflect on my past, who I am, discover why I do things in the way I'm thinking right now, deal with this emotional baggage. And then what does 1, 5, 10 years look like for me? I want to vision craft everything. So I did that, started going to therapy, and I really reinvented who I was. I re-identified exactly who Kyle Nelson was when he woke up in the day. How do I, show up for my kids, my wife, my business, my community, and everyone else around me? And like complete flip, 180 transition. It transformed my life. And so a couple years later, Eli and I, with our business, we started wrapping that up, and we're like, we want to become coaches. We've got some stuff we want to share with people. And we started doing this one-on-one coaching thing. But as entrepreneurs, we're like, how do we scale? How do we
Mhm.
truly scale this thing?
Yeah.
Because as a one-on-one coach, you only can scale so much. And we're like, you know what? I was like, dude, remember when I did this solo retreat? What if we brought that to the market and help people truly? Because we know and we feel that the answer's inside of you. If you have the right prompts, the right exercises, the right activities, and give yourself the permission to actually go and shut off and really think through your life for a little bit, you can find what you're looking for right there. And so that's what we did. We started reading or writing the workbooks every day. Day 1 is self-reflection. Day 2 is self-discovery. Day 3 is vision crafting. And we just guide you through this experience through the workbooks, through some guided audio notes, some meditations, and a few other really cool things that we throw in there that we don't say because it's a surprise when you open it up. But there's some really cool stuff in there that helps you through the process.
So it
And
sounds
when
like
we,
it sounds like you're a coactive trained coach based on some of the vocabulary I see. Balance,
absolutely,
fulfillment.
yes, balance and fulfillment, and really getting ahead before you feel like you're going to fall apart.
Right.
You know, how do you be proactive rather than reactive? And sometimes you can't quite get ahead, and maybe you are in that reactive position in life. Well, that's okay too. Like, let's pause for a second.
Hmm.
Like at the end of the day, 3 days to go take care of yourself. Like show up for yourself. Do the 3 days. It's not gonna. So many people say like, "Oh, 3 days, I can't pull that off." Well, what's the alternative? You're going to keep going down this, route that you're going where you're not happy, you're not fulfilled, you feel burnt out, you plateaued, you're stuck. Just take the 3 days, go take care of yourself. And I promise you, from that Thursday where you need to take off and you show back up on a Monday, everyone's going to see the transformation you've gone through. Your family's going to be more happy to have dad there. The office is going to be more productive because they're going to have a leader again, all that good stuff.
So do you see this as I know there's a coaching element after
Yeah,
after you do the program, you come back and I think you said three coaching hours after there's kind of a
yeah,
debrief. Do you see this as a great way to like jumpstart a coaching relationship where you do a lot of the work up front? I mean, a lot of coaches have you do tests
yeah,
or they have maybe do a workbook or
assessments
something
and
for
that.
a couple times before you start coaching. Is this a way to jumpstart the whole process so you come into it kind of having a little bit more of the vocabulary,
Absolutely.
the framework, knowing where you're going?
Absolutely. That is really what we've created as a foundation. So where we get most of our business and most of our students is actually from other coaches. So a
Hmm.
lot of coaches jump onto what we're doing. They say, "Hey, go do this solo retreat for these guys," and we work in tandem with them. We don't, we're not upselling to go into our coaching program. We're not doing any of that. We're saying this is the program. Get started. Get the vocab going. Really like decompress everything that you've got. Then bring this to your coach to help you figure out where you want to head in life. And people have different focuses going into this. Sometimes it's business, sometimes it's relational, sometimes it's spiritual, sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's just I'm not having fun in life anymore.
Yeah.
Let me reflect why. What was fun when I was a child? Most likely that's still something that you've put away. So there's so many different things people are going after with these, but all the prompts, it's really a choose your own path and journey. You go onto it, you set an intention of what you're trying to get out of it, and then you let those prompts kind of guide you through what you're trying to look for.
So is there a difference between this? I don't know if you know much about the Designing Your Life curriculum and how that
Mm,
works. It sounds like there's some similar, and that's another certified coaching program and
okay.
methodology. But it sounds like it's got some of those elements where you're starting at the real base level of values
Yeah.
and objectives and working through that. And the fact that you're alone. Are you
Yeah.
expected to work on that like the 3 days for 16 hours a day, or is it kind
Yeah.
of uh, you have a little bit of time?
So
And can you do other things while you're there? I
yeah,
imagine you're not supposed to look on your phone, but can you read a
right.
magazine? Can you read a book? Could you work out?
Absolutely. So we created it so you're not sitting there for 16 hours in a workbook and a journal, just
Yeah,
jamming through questions. There's three different
get it.
prompts every day. So yeah, it would. There's a morning prompt, an afternoon prompt, and an evening prompt. And these are different activities. They're different reflective questions. And some of them can take you half an hour. Some of them can take you 3 hours, depending on how deep that is. But there's also other recommendations throughout it. So one of the activities we had is when it comes to like self-reflection. Find a historical site near you, go visit it, and reflect on what was the history of this, and with that history, how could that have affected your life? Like, what's the domino effect of the history that happened then? What happened after that because of that? And it just helps you understand reflecting. Like, some people don't know truly how to
Yeah.
self-reflect and open up and look at something. So we try to do real world examples so you can like, oh, I get it. That's what they mean. So there's stuff like that, lots of reading. And in the word, it's solo retreat. So it is a retreat for you. Enjoy yourself. But it is a digital detox. We tell you to block your phone, put it on do not disturb, and or turn it off if you have the willpower to do that. But shut off the emails, shut off Slack, shut off big time social media if you haven't shut it off yet, and just go through the motions. Feel what you feel, and the second you turn off the phone, you'll see what we get time and time after is people start checking for their phone. They start,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. And you feel that
it takes about
vibration
a
in your
day.
pants, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes about a day to get through that. People do struggle with the difference between solitude and loneliness. And so that
Mhm.
first day, a lot of people do feel loneliness, but as you kind of get through it, you start to understand stillness and understand what solitude is and how important that is in your life to just feel where you are in the moment. Every single step of the day is intentional and just go through the different prompts. And really, it's a lot of journaling. There is a book in it. We put the book Stillness is the Key, which is a phenomenal book that really goes really well in tandem
Mhm.
with our program. There's some meditations that we have on an audio, little MP3 player, and some audio notes where we're speaking. We are coaching you through it through some audio notes as well.
Yeah. I'm really curious as to what your experiences with men is. I mean, when we talk about a lot of these things, I
Yeah.
think people get turned off. They hear these words like intentional and living in the moment. And they've heard it a billion times before. And we as men historically have just kind of like, I don't want to deal with that. My wife will deal with those emotional things in general.
Totally.
And we kind of don't know what we're missing. And my experience with coaching, I quite often ways down the road, guys I'm working with, like, I've never even thought of like this before. I've never even had,
Yeah.
this is all brand new to me. And I'm always a little bit surprised. Is that your experience that a lot of men go into your program not really knowing, like have a loose idea like meditation good, I should do this, or
Right.
are they already a little self-aware on these
It,
subjects?
it's 50-50. I
Yeah.
would say half the people that are going through it, they've done other coaching programs. They've gone to different seminars, they've listened to Tony Robbins, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other half, they're completely new to this. They've been introduced from a friend saying, "Hey, I went on this. Dude, you should really go do this.
Right.
Check this out." It's a little frou-frou. I don't do the intentional living, but all it takes is just having an intro call with us so we can break down, like, is there moments in your life that you're not present and you may be missing out on? A lot of times when, like, my 5-year-old is like, "Dad, come play with me," I have to keep myself in check and say, "Okay, I'm going to come play with you." But of course, there's other things going on, right? You might be checking your phone, your wife might be talking, you might be hearing the TV, you're thinking about what you didn't get done at work. That's not intentional. Yes, you're doing the thing that you should be doing as a father, spending quality time with your child, but are you truly there? And so those are the different types of principles and the different skill sets you can learn during our 3-day retreat is, how do I be intentional? How do I shut those things off? You know, um, and it's really fruitful for a lot of the men that go through it because they come back and they again, you come home every day and your kid runs up to you, "Dad, hey buddy," give him a hug and you move on. But that moment changes to actual real intention. You
Yeah.
see the kid's face and the love running towards you, and you actually feel the warmth of the hug because you're intentional in that exact moment. And if you can live your life and walk your days like that and keep yourself in check, you'll see how special every moment is, and you'll have gratitude for so much more. And you'll be able to really, have that vision moving forward in life and saying, "Wow, I do have a lot of gratitude for things." And it's just more fulfillment, more happiness, more bliss and love that we're finding that a lot of people find.
Yeah, I'm glad you
One or
describe it like that because I think a lot of people I remember before many years ago, if somebody said, "Oh, live in the present," I'd be like, "What?" I mean, obviously I'm living in the
totally,
present.
dude.
I'm looking at the watch, it's
I
the
totally
present right
agree.
now, and yeah, I'm here. But you're
Yeah,
talking about a different
yeah,
way of living in that present and being focused on what is happening right now rather than being in the present, but being buffeted by yesterday,
yeah,
tomorrow, and a million other impulses. Is that a
yeah,
good way to describe what that feeling is? Because you're focused on your
absolutely.
child, you're focused on his personality, his warmth, his
Yeah,
his aura, if you want, if you will,
absolutely.
all about the moment, the heat in the room, the music in the background, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes. I'll explain to you how I try my best to start my days, and I think this will paint the picture.
Uh-huh.
When I wake up in the morning, I first say some gratitude about, hey, another beautiful day on this earth that I can move forward to. I get up and then I walk to my kitchen and I start my coffee maker. And I truly say to myself, I am so grateful for the engineer that designed this thing because it is allowing me to have the coffee that I need to fuel my day. By the way, the coffee, the person that harvested the beans and put the love and care into the ground to grow these things, right? And then as I take a sip, what's happening? The flavors, the taste, the aromas that I'm experiencing, the dopamine starts going off, the caffeine's filling my body to get moving for the day. being able to do that takes so much practice. That is on the extreme. But if you can find moments in your life that you can actually be intentional, and one of the easiest ways to start doing that is with your children, because you already have that natural
Yeah,
love for them.
yeah, yeah.
You already are like, you enjoy the time you have with them. They're God's gift. With you and your wife created this amazing, beautiful human that is who you partially who you are.
Right.
And it's so easy because you already have that love. And if you can just use that as a guiding star to be able to really practice intentionality with them and being present in the actual moment and think about what's going through their head and what you're teaching them and role modeling for these children, they will take away and bring that to the world rather than maybe we all get stressed out. We're all,
Yeah.
chaos in life. But if your children start seeing that over and over again, what is that going to do to their personality? What is that going to do with their relationships at school, in class? And how's the domino effect happen? And I try so hard to like bring it back. If you can practice intentionality with these people in your life, because you already have enjoyment and bliss with them, that's the best way to start practicing it.
Mm-hmm. You also talk about their gratitude. Does gratitude
Yeah,
play a role in the exercises during the retreat? Because I'm a big believer in gratitude. In fact, there's a link to my free course down in the show notes somewhere.
perfect.
But um, it is such an important way to start your day and end your way because, like you say, there's so much out there to be so grateful for, but so easy and
Yeah.
tempting to be thinking about the
Oh,
negative. I mean, there'll always be things we don't
so
have.
easy.
Hair, for
Absolutely.
example.
Yeah, we talk. Yeah, extra weight around my waistline. Yeah, so stuff like that. Yeah, we do talk about gratitude a lot. I think there is one exercise on gratitude. It's really just a prompt saying, "What are you gracious? What are things that you have gratitude around?" And a lot of people get stuck in the mindset of negativity. They are the
Mm.
victim. They don't have anything to be happy about. And you just
Uh,
spiral. And then everything is doomsday. But if you
oh,
just look at it and say, what do I have gratitude for? Right? Well, I have this beautiful home
yeah.
that I'm lucky to live in, or wherever your situation is. I have a beautiful, amazing wife or children, or I have a job. I have these books behind me that can fill me with knowledge to improve myself. All the things that, it's easier than you would think. And then what that does to your mindset instantly, right? It is that instant psychological flip. It
Yeah.
gets you out of the stuck and puts you into the unstuck. And what is the potential now that I can move towards? Push those things out of your mind because the negative's always there. It's always going to be there. It's not going away. So how do you try to get out of that mindset and just move forward? And it's just the small things in life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times in our life we're waiting for the big thing to happen, and we keep waiting for it and waiting for it, and it may not happen until very far down the road. But think about the small things that you can already say that you've accomplished or that you're lucky and you have the gratitude for. And that's kind of the focus. It's like, what are the small things that we can be
Yeah.
gracious for that we already have?
It's really a challenge. I mean, you're a generation before me, and I just remember that just really struggling with that because you're so under pressure when you start a job, and then when you get married and you have
Yeah.
kids,
Oh,
it's hard to find this time. So I love the idea of this 3-day thing. Are a lot of the guys come? You said that a lot of guys come in with this kind of victim feeling.
mm.
Are a lot of people coming into it because they feel like I have to do something to
Yeah.
fix something, or are they doing it proactively, or is it a mixture of the two?
I would say it's two. It's not necessarily proactively. It's
Yeah,
more of
unfortunately.
I'm doing the practices that I know I need to do. So
Yeah.
I read this new book. I have a coach. This is another step towards me finding
Well,
fulfillment, and it's something different and something new I'm going to try. There's that. And then there are people that were like me, where it's like, I'm at the end of the road and I don't know what the heck, I don't know where
mm,
I'm heading, and I'm scared and I need some focus. I need some me time. That's quite common as well. But allow allowing themselves permission to do that's the hardest thing. That's why they haven't done it yet. And having purpose going into alone time and solitude. A lot of people won't do it because they're like, what do I do? Go grab a journal and go out to the forest and hopefully I come up with some grand idea. That's why we have this program. So it's actually facilitated for you and guided. So you can actually utilize that 3 days to the best maximum you can. So you can come back, reset. You're disconnecting to reconnecting with who you are. And you're able to actually be like, okay, I have something here. I have some foundation to move forward. I understand what I've gone through. How do I harness those things? What are my behaviors? What are the triggers I have in my life? And what is the next, I mean, for some people, it's what's the next day look like, but really it's what's the next 1, 5, 10 years. What could it look like now that I kind of dealt with some stuff I needed to deal with? And kind of have this roadmap.
I'm wondering if that's easier for some people than like going to therapy or talking to a coach. I mean, I really believe in the talk therapy
Yeah,
part of coaching, not the
absolutely.
therapeutical, not the people who are really in, at a deep hole, but the talk therapy that goes with trying to be your better self and getting in
Hmm.
touch with who you are, what you want, and all that. Maybe there is this something that a lot of men are able to experience because they aren't face to face, they aren't
Yeah.
thinking through their deepest fears, their worst nightmares, their most defeatist feelings about themselves, and they're able to kind of
Hmm.
get that out to themselves first, and then perhaps be able to talk to a coach afterwards, having now gone through it themselves.
Absolutely. That's one of that's one of the reasons why we did this is a lot
Hmm.
of people are too nervous to do group coaching or
Yeah,
masterminds.
yeah,
They don't, or some people, they don't want to find a coach or therapist because they just don't want to let it out quite
yeah,
yet to
yeah. It's
that person.
painful. Yeah,
That's
in front of
very,
somebody, it's
very hard and
embarrassing.
painful.
Yeah.
Yes. Even though those people hold it with so much love and understanding, you still sometimes can't do that. But if you can transfer your thoughts onto paper, that's at least the first step to be able to get those things out and then bring us, okay, let's just see what you wrote on this exercise. That way, it's a stepping stone to being able to improve yourself and start working towards those things. And then entering an online community where it's other people that have gone through the same exact thing. They understand what you've done, but maybe you can find other insights from other people. And it's just a support community for everybody to lift each other up and learn and educate each other. So yeah, a lot of it is just it's an easy, or people that are introverts that don't want to like
Yeah,
talk and
yeah.
deal with other people. Some people that are extreme
You couldn't get
introverts.
me to sit around a campfire and beat drums. I tell you, I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and this is a perfect opportunity for people that don't want to do that stuff.
Yeah.
They just want to go work on themselves, and they know they just need the time, and they come out of it and they're like, all right, I'm ready to take on the next steps in my life. And I processed a lot of stuff the past few days, but let's use it and harness it to propel
Mhm.
myself to the next level that I need to be.
So let's talk a little concretely about what the program involves. Now, so the 3 days, and you went through kind of
Yeah,
what happens on each day. There are 3 hours of individual coaching, and that would be either with you
yeah,
or with Eli, or they choose, or they
both
kind of
us.
randomly,
Yeah,
both of you together.
yeah, we both jump on the call. Eli and I both have different experiences and different things that we like to focus on and help. So it's really cool to have this kind of circular conversation of a few people just kind of delivering and talking through things. But yeah, so we have an intro call. We open it up for about an hour just to talk to you about the program, let you know some of the things to expect, some of the things to look forward to, some of the things that you're like, you may feel emotions you've never felt before, and kind of help you kind of figure what's the intention you want to go into this weekend.
Hmm.
What is it that you are really trying to get out of this? Where are you stuck in life that you're trying to break the barriers? And then we send you the box with all the goodies in it, and it says do not open till your retreat. And that right there, just being able to have that anticipation and slowing down and not doing that is very difficult for people because they have so much. They just want to know. They want to know what's in it. They want to get started. But for sure, everyone just holds on and doesn't do that. And then every workbook inside the 3 days, those are sealed too. So you cannot work ahead. So you do day one, and then when that's completed, that's your first check mark. Day two, check mark. Day three. So you go through that. We every so often we have someone that actually calls us on the retreat because they just need to talk through something right then and there. It happens, and we're available as much as we can. But for the most part, people come back. They try to reintegrate back into life again, and then within 1 to 3 days, we're on a phone call with you. We're debriefing, or we're in person if you're local to us, debriefing the experience. And there's usually so many aha moments and small moments that you want to discuss and things you've dealt with. And there's always something. There's always one thing that for everyone that they're like, this is what I got out of this. I found
Hmm.
this one thing that I've been needing to really focus on, and this is what I found. And then 2 weeks later, so we'll create like a little I would say like, hey, what are your next steps to really, keep yourself accountable and implement, these things in your life. And then in 2 weeks, we follow up with you. We also have, are you familiar with Marco Polo, the app?
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
people are. So we actually get on Marco Polo with you, so you can do a call or send us a video message whenever you want, and we'll get back to you.
Yep.
That's kind of the way to communicate with us outside of the coaching. 2 weeks, we have another coaching call, and then another 2 weeks, kind of wrapping up. Get them into the online community just for support and accountability from everybody. We do in-person retreats starting next year, but you would have to gone through the solo retreat program to go to our in-person retreat, where you can, I don't know if we're going to be drumming around the campfire, but we will have some campfires with good conversations and a few other activities to do with some speakers coming in.
S'mores are optional. So it's
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
it's actually a coaching call, then the retreat, then 3 more coaching calls, and
Yeah.
then you enter the online community, which is that a
Yep.
Facebook group, a weekly
It's just
meeting?
Slack.
It's
There's
just
a
Slack.
Slack
Okay.
group that we have. There's different themes and different, a lot of people are just celebrating wins in their life, and we just add pieces of motivation. People have questions like, hey, how have you dealt with this? Me and my wife may be having this, blah blah blah. I'm having this issue at work. It's just people just kind of going back and forth, helping each other and supporting each other. And then the in-person retreats next year we're going to start doing, which will be like an extension of all of that, and just kind of taking yourself to the next level. Like, okay, you went through all of that, you've kept yourself accountable. Where are you at? If you're where you're at, what's the next level? If you haven't hit where you need to get, let's talk about how we can get there for you.
Yeah.
So
I think the important other element is that you are not a travel agent. You will help with
100%. Yes.
ideas of places people could go,
Yeah.
campsites, Airbnb. On your website, there are a lot of cool buildings that you
A lot of
show, but
cool.
those aren't necessarily, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily
Those
own
aren't just,
those.
yeah. No, yeah. I wish.
I love the treehouse. I want that.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people don't really know, like, what would a place of solitude or peace look like for me? And so we have a questionnaire of 10 different spots that we recommend, whether it's on the ocean, a lake house, a cottage. Some people like going to the city on a top 40th floor, and so they have this beautiful, view, and that's how they may meditate or be able to think through things. So we'll help you do that. We'll help you go through, where do you find bliss and happiness and calm, and let's find some spots for you. Give us the weekend. We'll go through Airbnb, or maybe we'll find some good some guys have built out overland vehicles, and they just want to take it somewhere and go into the forest, and we say, oh, maybe there's this spot. So we don't book it, but we do have some recommendations for it.
Okay. And then finally, what is the cost for the 4 sessions, the community, and then the guided solo retreat?
Yeah, the program is $3,000. We do payment terms if that's, if you need it. We don't want money to stop you from experiencing this. So we work with everybody, whether you can pay $3,000 up front, or if you need to break it up, we're happy to do that as well. But it's, if you look at it compared to other coaching programs or therapy, this is such a valuable 3 days worth of work, where you can really get 3 to 6 to 9 months worth of work already completed out of the way, because you're doing this deep dive. You're really going for it full send in a 3-day period. And there's so much that you can get out of that, just committing to it.
Yeah. And I know on your website, you can set up a time to talk to you. What is that? How long is that a conversation that's more nuts and bolts? What days?
Yeah.
Or do you get into
Exactly.
any of the pre-coaching, asking people's aspirations and objectives?
Yeah. So we'll block 30 minutes to an hour on the calendar to just see where the conversation goes. If you have interest in the program and you're like, I'm ready to commit, do it because someone told me about it, let's do that. If you just need to talk through some things, maybe you're nervous about it, let's talk why you're nervous about it. It really, we just let that kind of conversation go where it needs to go. But sure enough, 9 out of 10 times we get the commitment from the person, because it's not that
they call because they have the intention.
They have the intention.
They're at least 50% believing.
Yes. And they just need someone to help them give themselves the permission just to go do it. Just go do it. We believe in you. You can do this. Commit to it. Take 3 days out of the large span of your life just to go focus on a few things.
Yeah.
Improve your future.
Yeah. I love it. I tell everybody whenever we have a coach on the show, I say, every coach is willing to give you 45 minutes to an hour of free time. I would take them sequentially, meet 20 coaches and do your free coaching program.
Yeah.
Because you always get something out of an introspective call when you talk to somebody for a period of time where the focus is on you and it's non-judgmental. Well, this is really an interesting approach. I do a coaching program on intentional fatherhood that takes some of the same building blocks, but is really focused just on fatherhood. But this sounds a lot like it's a lot more holistic with everything else going on.
Sure.
And I would really advise people before you have kids or with young kids, because
Yeah,
like you said, the time goes by so fast. You don't want to be doing this when they're 18 and saying, now how do I fix the stuff that I wasn't there for? You want to start this
absolutely.
early so you're in sync with your values, who you are, and then getting the most out of every moment of the day. Like you say, it's not something you can switch on. You have to learn to practice
Yeah,
these things. And I know it's another thing on your to-do list, but it's so important to living a happy,
yeah,
fulfilled life. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So you
truly
also
is.
have a podcast. I know on the website there's a like a teaser, but you have a bunch of them in the can. They're going to be released. It's called the Peak Podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Eli and I did 8 years of the Biz Bros podcast. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations. Um, and we decided to launch a new one that has more focus on the work that we're doing today. And it's called the Peak Podcast. We have about 20 episodes that'll be getting released weekly already in the can, ready to go. We're having so many conversations right now and recording them. And we have the first episode that actually launched yesterday. So today's October 29th. So October 28th, it launched just to kind of get a feel of what the podcast is going
Yeah.
to be. And then they're just going to be launched one or two a week and see where it goes. We're having some phenomenal. And the cool part about the podcast is we're only bringing coaches on
Hmm.
and we're trying to learn. We truly are sponges. We want to learn from others. And we are trying to understand what was the moment, the peak moment in your life where you said, I have impact and I want to be a coach and help people with that. Because most likely there was a phenomenal experience and story behind that for you to propel to becoming a coach, right? It's a natural progression to becoming a coach. And so the conversations are so cool because we're learning the things that most coaches aren't really talking about. They want to talk about their coaching program, but like, where did that come from?
Yeah, where'd that come from?
And
Why is it?
then
Yeah.
yeah, and so they're cool combos, and it's something new and refreshing. And we'll definitely have you on, Paul, if you'd like to be on.
Oh,
It's
I
going to be,
appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, Kyle. Well, everybody, you can go to peakfulfillmentcoaching.com. That'll be in the show notes, and you can look for the Peak Podcast. I think just search Peak Podcast. You'll probably
yeah.
find that on all the pop. I know you're on Spotify at the very least, but I imagine you're on all the other ones too. So, yeah, great. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate being here.
Okay, Paul Baines at GreatDad.com. Thanks again for joining. You can find my coaching offerings at GreatDad.com/go. Okay, until next time, stay strong.